Yo, it's 5 rounds, 5 topics a season. Home of the most controversial opinions. Dropping each round on a Friday. If you're about the top trends, then it's our way. So make sure you subscribe. Believe it or not, the vibe is out here. Whereby the peeps can talk with no fear. Hey, what's the name of the podcast right here? What's happening? This the vibe right here. Pandies be the tribe right here. We about to go live right here. If you're talking about the rounds, then it's 5 right here. What's happening? This the vibe right here. Pandies be the tribe right here. We about to go live right here. If you're talking about the rounds, then it's 5 right here. Hey, yo, hit the like button. You know I'll be checking.
What is going on, good people? Welcome to 5 Rounds. I am Wantali, and it's Mental Health Awareness Weekend. Hold on a sec, something's going on with my cable, for crying out loud. Okay, let's see if that works. So basically, Mental Health Awareness Week. So we thought we'd do an episode of mental health. So I'm a little bit late. I was waiting for the guys to show up, but obviously they haven't showed up. So I was like, yo, I'm just gonna do this. Yeah. So I see Truth City Fan is in the comments there saying we're waiting. I'm here, innit? I'm here. That's what's important. Cool. Mental health, big topic, obviously this month, this week. We've done, I think this is the fourth topic on the podcast about mental health, right? So again, I want to give you the definition before we get into it. So mental health is a state of well-being that enables people to cope with life stresses and realize their potential, right? So basically, right, it's something that as a person you have to look after. Yeah. Of course, your mind is a powerful tool, right? So it's something that you got to look after. And obviously over time, these campaigns have come up, the mental health awareness campaigns, the official color for mental health is green. What I want to do today is sort of assess if it's been beneficial or not, if there's still challenges or not, sort of what people can do about mental health as well. Do you know what I mean? I start streaming and the ice cream man is coming around the corner. You're gonna hear him in a minute. So the mental health, right? The first question I wanted to ask, right, is what are the pros and cons of mental health awareness, right? So when we talk about obviously mental health and then the awareness side of it is the deliberate campaigns to sort of educate you about what mental health is, what challenges people face with mental health. For example, when how to sort of self-diagnose, how to know your own mental health and your own self-care, your own well-being. So the point of mental health awareness is so that you're aware of it. I think most of us have sort of been living life thinking, yeah, I'm going to soldier on. I'm okay. Do you know what I mean? Until something happens and then you're like, I don't know how this happens. I don't know how I got here, and this is the point of this awareness. So the first question is, what are the pros and cons of mental health awareness? If you notice, I already gave a pro there. One of the pros is, of course, we are now aware of the signs and symptoms. Do we know all the signs and symptoms? I don't think so. Do you know what I mean? But are we aware of the signs? Of course. Do we know all the signs? I don't think so. So just in case you didn't catch the question there in the comments, what are the pros and cons? I see Gunjan, you're proper like giving your opinion here. Let's start with the name 5 rounds. What does the round mean? Well, like a round table. Let's see. Like a trident, like you said, yeah. For mental health, eat seasonal fruit. Yeah. There you go. So what do you guys think are the pros and cons of mental health awareness? Like I said, the obviously the pro is, it's talked about a bit more. So mental health awareness campaigns have sort of given people sort of a bit of insight and education, because ignorance to something, right? For example, like mental health, like for me growing up, when somebody had a mental health issue, you thought they were crazy. They were sent to a mental institute. You'd always attribute it to those things. So those were the stigmas of it. So the awareness part of it is, it could happen to anybody. It's not necessarily somebody's choice. It's not just a consequence. It doesn't just pick by genetics. No, it's literally, it could happen to anybody, right? What are the cons of it? I think personally, you know, I think the awareness of it is not enough. Um, knowing knowing which services are applicable to you, I think is the hard part. Um, so basically, what I'm trying to say here is, when just because you're aware of a mental condition or anything like that, or a mental health issue, yeah, it doesn't mean that going to a therapist is the answer. It doesn't mean that seeing the doctor is the only answer, and all these things. And that part is not necessarily clear. There's always people to support you, but it's not necessarily clear. Some of the issues, I think, is, I think it's something I mentioned around when we did a topic called euthanasia, basically. So euthanasia is a way of which people can sort of request to end their lives in a medical way. And I always said to myself that, and normally those conditions, for those things to happen, there's certain conditions you have to meet, so certain illnesses you have to have. So in that episode I said there were cases where doctors would misdiagnose you, and you'd think that um you would think that, yeah, I think this is the right thing for me because I've been diagnosed with this and I can't live with it, and all these things. And also sometimes when you get diagnosed with a critical illness, mentally you start to break down. Obviously, you start to register that, you know, this is what's happening. I'm deteriorating and all these things. I mean, how many times have you heard somebody go, or have you heard that that person was cool yesterday and then they get diagnosed and then done out here? You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think having the awareness is important, but also you sort of have to know what you know, there's a risk of also being misdiagnosed, or there's a risk of thinking that you might have a problem or you might not have a problem. So maybe you've looked at all these things and still thought, nah, I'm okay, or I don't need it, if that makes sense. Um, what other things do you think are the pros and cons of mental health awareness? So is there anything wrong with letting people know, that you got to look after your mental health, basically? There's the ice cream man. I think the awareness part is good, but what you do about it after, I think it's something I mentioned in my initial point. What you do about it after is that's a difficult one. To be fair, it's a difficult one. Do you guys feel that you're exposed to the right channels, to the right channels that give you the right campaigns that make you aware of what mental health is? Do you feel like you can now sit down and sort of where you need to go, or what you need to do, or how you need to handle your brain, because your brain is pretty much the same as your muscle. You've got to exercise it and all these things, you know what I mean? Yeah, so do you guys think that, given the knowledge of mental health awareness, of mental health itself, does it allow you to sort of act? Has it changed how you see things, how you act with people? Has it also allowed you to gain access to certain services you didn't think you had? And if you don't know that, I've got some links in the video. I will let you know what those links are about. There he is. Right. So what challenges? Hold on a sec. Thank you. What challenges remain? This guy. honestly, this is probably the comical part of the episode. I'll wait for him to go. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Right. Yeah. So, what challenges remain despite the increased awareness? You know what I mean? So, what challenges are there? You know, despite the increased awareness. One of the challenges are the stigma around mental health, which is a thing that I just mentioned when I said, look, when somebody, hold on 2 seconds, when somebody tells you that they've got an illness or a problem or anything like that, you know, give me 2 seconds, give me 2 seconds, give me 2 seconds. So when somebody tells you that they've got an illness or a problem, the stigma is still there. They still think you got, you're crazy. There were certain times where personally I would say, okay, I want to use I guess the therapy that is available to me, through the employers or through whoever it is, to check on my mental health, right? Some of the things my friends would tell me is, "Rah, you don't want to be telling them everything because they want to have it on record about how your mental state is." So let's say you're a person who, I don't know, maybe you have anger issues, or you've got a past where maybe your family has a past of mental health issues or illnesses or whatever it is. So a lot of people go, "Oh, but don't do that," because this is the effect of it. Because again, we're afraid of what people are going to think when we try and express ourselves. So it sort of adds a layer to in fact, just you being afraid of addressing it with the stigmas, if you get what I mean. Um, you know, some of the I think some of the challenges as well is some people are not willing to accept, especially when it happens to you, even though you know what it is, like what the problem is, you're just not willing to accept, or that you need to sort of work on something. You're just not willing to accept because you feel like you've been fine all your life. Why do you need to fix it? That's another thing. My personal challenge with, I'd say, mental health and probably therapy is I never really believed in it. So, growing up, my therapist was the pastor or the priest, because I'm Catholic. So when I grew up, I grew up Catholic. So every mass, at the beginning of every mass, you could go to the confessions. Somebody will know. You go to you'd have confessions, and that was treated as a therapy session because you could speak to somebody who's been trained in being a counselor, right? So I never really believed in it because religiously I felt like that was being fulfilled. And then also I also felt like through family and friends, because growing up in a very social community, a very a community that I guess protects you and keeps you safe, which is part of mental health and how you feel. I felt like I could sort of express myself and speak to people that care about me because they know me. But only recently I realized that actually, you need a professional opinion, because the same as a doctor, your relative is not trained to tell you how your body is or how your body's behaving or how your body should be. But then a doctor will you sort of know the diagnosis. You can't take your car to your neighbor or your parent, your friend, because they probably don't know how to fix a car. That's what I'm trying to say. So you need a professional opinion on where you're at with your mental state, and then sort of you can work on a lot of things. So there are a lot of things that we grow up with, that we don't know, that might have hindered us into being who we wanted to be, or being the best versions of ourselves. So yeah, I think those are still some of the challenges, because you can take, that saying, you can take a horse to the river, but you can't force it to drink, basically. You know. Right, good. Yeah. At level 2 for it, it's family problems, problem in relationships, because work stress can be handled, but relationships are hard. Okay. At level 3, so you got this in levels where you doubt your blood relatives, your friends, and refer to them to be alone in isolation. Okay. Mental therapy is by land. I don't know about that, Gunjan. Remedies for mental health is by land. Okay, we'll get that. We'll get there. Kanye bought 4,500 acres of land because of his mental health. Well, he bought it. If you're talking about Wyoming, he bought it to record music and get away from everyone. I guess you could say it was to help his mental health, but there you go. Some people love ice cream, for example. It helps them with their mental health. Um, what else? What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Bear with me a second. Okay. Um, so the challenges, I've mentioned that. What do you guys think? What are your challenges when it comes to mental health as well? What are your challenges? Um, I think is there enough education in institutions in schools right now? So for me, growing up, going to school, we never had education on mental health exactly. It never really focused on mental health. So the issue with that is you grow up thinking when somebody says mental health, mental illness, then you know getting educated a little bit later, it might be harder to comprehend. So those are some of the challenges. Maybe the timing or where the education starts might be an issue. Because we might all shout about it, but where are we actually getting educated on it? Should we all go and just have a sort of have a look or study it ourselves, or you know should we be exposed to more information, more training, more professionals, like everything else? um I think for me, I see it a lot in employment. So employers are very big on mental health, which is why you probably got this whole mental health month. So employers, foundations, big on that, basically. Charities, because at the end of the day, your employer wants you fighting fit. They want you mentally fit. They want you physically fit. If you turn around today and say I'm stressed, or I'm depressed, or I can't work, or I feel like harming myself, then they have a duty of care to take you out of that environment and help you recover. So and an unfit work person is not good for a company, which is why I'm saying I see it a lot at work, but I think we should see it more in other places. Maybe when you go to the hospitals and people are picking it up. In fact, before I jumped on, I was checking out Twitter, and I noticed even some Malayan influencers are now getting on it, because I think somebody posted something that they were struggling with life. Normally, when people post that, you're like, what's going on with that person? But I saw a lot of people posting like, oh, we're with you, and giving you what is it, like a screenshot, like a screenshot of what's it called, giving you a screenshot of things that are there for you. you know RB says false advertisement. Where's the expert advice in the promo? What promo? What expert advice? What are we talking about? Nobody's an expert here. Disclaimer: I'm not a mental health expert. I'm just here talking to you about what I've experienced when it comes to mental health awareness. And I thought I'd bring it to you guys because I think at any level, you must have experienced or come across mental health and all of that. I wanted to bring in a few figures, things that are related to mental health awareness, things that we wouldn't have known, right? I wanted to pull out some figures, like, just to see how severe this can be, or yeah, basically. So some of the statistics, right? Approximately 970 million people worldwide were living with a mental disorder. To put that in context, what's the word? Who knows the numbers? The world population. Yeah, let me look that up. Population 2020. So 970. So there's like 8.4 billion people. 8.4 billion people in this world, right? 8.1 billion people in this world. So 970 million with 8.4 billion, basically. Right. Quick maths. 2 plus 2 is 4 minus 1. That's 3 quick maths. Everyone on the block smoke trees. So about 11% of the world's population have suffered have had a mental condition or a mental disorder. Basically, that's a huge number. Because you think 11%, and that's not me. I'm not the 11%, but that's a huge number, and that number could grow. Anxiety and depression were the most common mental health conditions globally. You wonder why? I mean, this came out in 2019, so I'm guessing after 2020, it was probably more than that. So COVID, anxiety, depression. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people were furloughed. A lot of people were in very toxic relationships and all these things, because for the first time ever, you were forced to stay home with your significant other or whoever it was. And you discovered that, I can't really stay Monday to Friday or Monday to Sunday with this person and whatever it is. So there was a lot of that reported. The economic impact, of course, according to statistics, the global economy. So this is World Health Organization. The global economy loses about $1 trillion a year in productivity due to depression and anxiety, which is why, like when I said, when I was speaking about why I see it a lot in employment, right? With employers, is simply because of that. Companies will look at things like this and think, this number can't grow. Nobody wants to lose money. Let's be honest. You don't want to lose money. Companies definitely don't want to lose money. I've also noticed that I'm not using my memes. I normally use them, but because I'm doing the talking today, I can't do the talking and pressing. But don't worry, today
I'm standing on business.
I'm standing on business. Don't worry.
They standing on business. We standing on business.
Let's see. Gunjan says, one story: Stone Cold Steve Austin survived on potato three times a day. He never said something about mental health. He remembers his best memory surviving on potatoes. That's good for him. I mean, food's good for them. Too much of anything's bad, but you find something that you like that's good for your mental health. I come here and there's Wantali talking, Mr. Judge, Mr. Music, Mr. All. I request the credentials to be displayed.
So, do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
All right, guys, please hit the likes. Hit the likes. Actually, if you are new here, this is one thing I need to mention. Basically, 5 Rounds Podcast is a society. So it's if you're interested in knowing the experiences of Africans in diaspora, then this is the podcast for you. If you're interested in culture, music, fashion, love, stuff like that, relationships, so as we experience it, this is the place. So smash the like button and make sure you're subscribed as well, because it's only subscribers that can chat to us, right? So the subscribers are called the embarrassment of pandies. Yeah. Let me continue. So burden of disease, right? So mental, neurological, and substance abuse disorders constitute 10% of the global burden of disease, right? They account for 25% of non-fatal disease burden. So anyone who is not well means that they're not doing something productive. It also means that they're using the resources available. So, for example, in the UK, they've got the socialist system where everybody pays for everybody's medical bill, right? That is, of course, if you have the right to stay and also you're working. So you can imagine the stress this puts on a system like that when somebody's not well. They're constantly going to hospital. So yeah, it's just showing the importance of mental health awareness. So in adolescents, approximately 1 in 7 of the world's adolescents have a mental disorder. That's 1 in 7 of the world, right? That's a shocking number, yeah. So out of 7 children, 1 has a mental disorder. Just to put that in perspective, if you have 7 children, 1 of them might have a mental disorder. So it's just yeah, I think it's something that we really need to pay attention to. Disability and suicide, mental illnesses. Mental illness is the leading cause of disability across all age groups. I repeat, mental illness is the leading cause of disability across all age groups, right? Now, growing up in a country that I'm from, I think the consideration for disability is not as good as it is in the UK. So in the UK, there's a rule like parking spaces everywhere you go, you'll find disabled parking spaces, you find this buildings, you find elevators and whatnot. But then, in third world countries, these things are not there. So yeah, all these things contribute. Mental health issues contribute to over 800,000 deaths per year due to suicide. 800,000 deaths. I think that's the most important one there. So yeah, I know it's kind of grim, but you know, the reason you create awareness for a reason, is to basically shout about something that people need to know about. It's sort of like the environment, you know. Um, it's sort of like the environment, basically, you know. Mr. True City fan, hello.
Yeah, how you doing? I have a show at 8 o'clock, but I was like, let me join this guy. He looks lonely. I'm pretty sure.
Lord Jesus.
I've got the chat. What do you mean? I'm not lonely.
I'm pretty sure since you're online, you haven't seen this Didi video.
Which Diddy video?
Oh, when you're done, you'll see.
When I'm
Since
done,
you're talking about mental health, I think you understand because if Cassie was with this man since 2016 to that point, 2018, she must be going all through all sorts of mental health, and I feel sorry for her. Anyway,
yeah,
so
yeah.
what were you
So
saying before the ice cream man?
okay. So so you got that. So I was saying, look, I sort of started trying to justify why we have mental health awareness, right? So some of the stats here are approximately 970 million people worldwide were living with a mental disorder, right? Anxiety and depression were the most common mental health conditions globally. Um, the global economy loses about 1 trillion per year in productivity due to depression and anxiety. Neurological, and substance abuse disorders constitute 10% of the global burden of disease. They account for 25.1% of non-fatal disease burden, which means you have people that are occupying hospitals and services, because of mental health, something that people did not know about. 1 in 7 children, 1 in 7 of the world's adolescents, have a mental disorder. So 1 in 7. Disability and suicide, right? Mental illness is the leading cause of disability across all age groups. Mental health issues contribute to over 800,000 deaths per year due to suicide, basically. So, so this basically, why is it there? This was the question, like why is mental health awareness there? Because I mean, with those figures, it needs to be talked about even more. I think even having a month is not enough, So that's what I was trying to say. And also some of the things we spoke about is the challenges that we've had. So I asked the chat, like, what challenges have you had with mental health awareness? Because it's there, but what are the challenges that we've got now? It's quite deep, Patrick. It's quite deep. It can be quite serious.
It's everywhere because I remember when I was going for whenever we go for like chemo treatment, there's leaflets on how also people are dealing with mental health, during this moment where you're going through that, like, because a lot of people will, like, they don't advise you to sleep in the afternoon, because if you sleep in the afternoon, you'll be awake in the evening. Then when you're awake in the evening, all you'll be thinking about is, after your treatment and stuff. You get my point? So there's these leaflets everywhere. So it's also being tackled in every single way. Even if you go to hospitals, not only the chemo section, as you're walking through the lobby, it's everything about mental health that has to do with anything. It's just it's attached to everything, because even the doctors, the nurses that work there, like, it's important for everybody. I think when you come to, as we say this before, I think there was a show when we did a show, we said when we were back home, some of these things we looked at them as jokes, just laughable things. Like I remember you said it yourself about the euthanasia thing, but we also said ourselves that when people commit suicide, remember back in the days, as we said, people, we used to question them, but now you do understand. I think when you grow up and when you are exposed, you understand that there's an importance why somebody can mentally have a breakdown, even just because of pressure at work, just because of pressure at home, even just because of did you say you have mental health? Do you hear the back? You Joanne, don't get me in trouble. P Diddy is in trouble. Don't make me P Diddy here. In the background. Yeah, but you get my point there. And I'm honestly, like, myself, deep down, about the kids. I think I never really thought. I don't know if that's me being like ignorant or something. I never thought, because kids are always happy, so I never thought actually what you've just told me about the kids. I never really thought that maybe kids can be going through things.
Yeah, I mean, autism, is autism considered a mental disorder? Because it's quite common, autism. You see, so yeah, autism is a disability. It's a disability, right? So yeah, it's I remember I knew someone who could see it in children. Like you would see a child and think child's fine, but that person, because they've been trained to a certain level, they were like, that child's got autism, right? And it's not necessarily a bad thing, because even when because I think normally especially in Africa, when people say you've got this disease, no matter what disease it is, everybody just thinks that's it. I'm a problem, or I've got a problem, or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, sometimes, especially, like, I remember even when I first encountered this, I was like, what is that? I didn't know what it was. Like, what is it? What happens? How does it work? And you find out, when you discover that there's certain people who have autism, they have a way of taking information in, but they're actually very good at things. You find out people with autism, I'm not trying to stereotype here, but again, you find out people with autism are very good with numbers, very good with shapes and
letters. Yeah, you're right. Letters, numbers, and memory.
Like
and memory of
and
things.
Their memory is brilliant. They're normally like the analysts of this world, So I think this also goes back to one of the topics in one of the things I think Sam spoke about in Women's Conference, where she said she's speaking about equity, basically using the strengths that people have around you. It's not just about equality. So yeah, just looking at that. So first, when I heard that person has autism, my first thing was, oh my gosh, something's wrong. Da, 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 da. But then also, there's also something good that comes out of that as well. I'm not saying that everybody should have autism, but my outlook totally changed when I sort of learned what the capabilities of somebody with autism is, and also the challenges,
Wait. Mental. Okay, so I want to understand this. So there's mental health, right? And there's mental health, and then mental illness. Do those things connect together?
Yes. So mental health, yes, they do. So mental health is obviously, what did I say? So mental health is a
you can Google. Go to
no,
Google.
I had it already. I had it somewhere. So
you can go to Google if you want. Don't be shy.
No, it's a okay. So mental health is a definition of what the condition is. Let me just Google it, for crying out loud. But anyway, almost the same as physical health. When somebody says physical health, you're not saying that person has an illness. You're pretty much just saying, look, this is the level of condition you are physically. So it's the same thing mentally. So this is the mental condition you have at this point in time. This is the health you have. It might be good, it might be bad. a mental illness, is a condition. It could be just classed as a disease, basically. So I remember, like what you've just said, Patrick. It's exactly what I was saying. Like when somebody tells you you have an illness, like that's it. It's a problem. You know what I mean? You need to go to a, yeah, a mental health facility or something, and stuff like that.
Are those still around? Like the one in Malawi, the one in Zomba?
Bottom hospital. Remember, like, this is what I'm saying. Growing up in school, when somebody just shows traits of being crazy, like they're gonna send you to bottom hospital, And these are just stigmas that we sort of have to break over time, because it's not a good thing to say to someone. To say, look, you belong in this facility, basically.
Yeah, I've always also wanted to speak about those facilities. Do they ever? Obviously, maybe the ones here, but like the ones in Malawi, like was this were people coming out of that in Malawi? Have you ever seen anybody who comes out and say, it worked out for me? Especially the one in Malawi. Just thinking about it now. There's one in Zomba, is that the bottom one? The one in Zomba, there's Zomba host. There's one in Zomba that was famous. Like when they said, like, for me, this is just me, and this also I will share with people around the world what we saw in our country. Because if you are sent there, it was as if it's a sentence. It's not sent there like for help. It's as if you're going to be tortured, or the mental illness is going to get beaten out of you. That's what I used to see from outside. So I've always wanted to ask that. I'm serious. When I go back home, I want to go check and I actually interview someone and say, what are your plans here? What do you do? Because when you're watching movies here, they say back in the 90s, it was like also torture in there. People were abusive. But now when you see some of the videos here, when you see the interviews, they say they've got a system on how to get somebody somewhere. But I'm saying, is that in Malawi? Are those put down there back in Malawi that we want somebody done here? Because what I'm trying to say is when few dudes that were sent, I never saw them again. This is what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say that.
It's because by definition it was like, you have a problem, we need to take you away from the general public. You see, so that was how it worked growing up. But I think now it's much better, because in Malawi, again, the suicide rate went from, well, obviously people were not recognizing the suicide rate, but now people are taking it more seriously, because younger people were, dying by suicide, basically. So even in Malawi, like I saw, I was just talking about this actually. I saw Ego posted something. Somebody wrote a status, really deep status, and Ego posted a screenshot of like a help service for each district, basically, and the first thing it said there is that we're here for you. I had never seen that. All the 19 years I'd lived in Malawi, I'd never seen that. So seeing that even online is quite interesting. I'm glad that they have set that up as a charity. We know, like at the beginning, I said, look, normally if you have a problem, you'd go to your pastor, you'd go to your priest.
They'll pray for you.
They'll pray for you.
They'll pray for you. Yeah, they'll say, oh no, then they say this guy's demons are too much. We can't take them out, so just send him over. Like it's like I'm just saying that that's why I'm happy that all these things are happening. And the point where there's a month that does it. I hope in Malawi, in my country, because I always come back to Malawi because that's where I'm from, and every time I've come here, I compare Malawi and this place. Say, oh, I've known this from here. I compare to what I had there. Same thing when we were talking about school and bullying. I think about mental health of people who now I feel bad. I know I might be smiling, but I feel bad that I think I was also contributing to people's damage of mental health, because I was also thinking the bullying is part of life. But that's the reason why you find you meet somebody after years and years, you're like, oh, why are they like this? You're like, why don't you remember you used to bully this individual a lot? No, not fair. Are there more questions you're going on? Because I saw you had a little structure before the ice cream man ruined it for you.
He was testing my mental health. He was. Do you know what I mean? Okay, so the next question, right, is mental health awareness benefiting communities, right? So is this mental health awareness we have, is it benefiting your community? So the people around you, do you feel like they're benefiting from the awareness of it, basically? So when you look around you,
I can say yes. I'll connect it to work, because I've noticed there's a lot of care, especially at work. Even even people how they care for like customers, when they see there's a customer is not in the right state of mind when they come into let's say for instance into the shop or anything, you find people show too much care because of all the help. And I've seen people go to the point where if let's say for instance you are having a bad day and you're a stranger, they even give you those support centers. Say, man, I see you're not feeling well, man. How is everything? So people do care, and it's all because of the awareness. So it is benefiting the community. And I'm pretty sure if we saw like you're a numbers guy, I saw at the beginning you were throwing numbers. If we started comparing back in the days and now of certain things of how people are getting help, maybe improvement of things, you find things have improved much better right now because even the kids when they come from school, the way they speak when they have these talks and they come to you, like the kids are well educated and you're surprised. So they
So
do
they
understand that daddy is going through a tough time right now. Let me help daddy. Mommy is going through pressure right now. Let me help mommy. And because they do understand, it's all because of the education and the awareness around and everybody around, and even strangers in the street.
is
That, do you get my point? So it does benefit the community, and it is benefiting the community. Unlike back in the days where if people see you on the floor, they would join in and kicking you, and say, or if they see you crying that my wife has left me, they wouldn't even care about your mental health. Okay, just say, man, grow up, let's go to the pub and drink a few, and you forget about it.
jeez.
Oh, do you know? Do you know? Let me even say this. Do you know how the pub used to be the place where people say, "Let's forget about it"? People are even talking about mental health in pubs now. You know,
Huh?
in the pub, people sit down and that's a conversation, and you're like, "What?" So this thing is getting out there. You get my point?
Interesting. I was gonna say, well, I wanted to ask you a question first, actually. So you mentioned that, say, for example, even children are now aware of what mental health is, and when they see their parents struggling, they're like, what can I help to lighten the load, right? Personally, as a child, the worst thing that the last thing I wanted to see was my parents struggling. you know
Mm,
I think it crushed me when I saw my parents struggling
mm,
to a point where I would start internalizing to feel like, is it my fault? you know
mm.
um do you think that it is now this is why I asked, like, is it beneficial to communities? Should there be a limit to when, okay, this is when children be protected a little bit more, like, maybe they shouldn't really know about this until they're a little bit more mature to handle it, if that makes sense, right? Do they fully understand what it is they're going through, and is it, you know
I think as a parent, that's what I'm saying. I don't think there's a level to I think to what you give them to you unload to kids. Like you give like I think there's a level. It's not like you. I don't think we're going deep mental health here. I don't think we're saying to this month, hey, the bills are killing at the point where there's I owe one thirty money and he's coming. He says if he finds me, it's gonna stamp me down. I think there's a level of what you share, But I'm saying the level, the much you share, I think is good enough for that. It's different from kids from back in the days.
yeah.
Some kids back in the days, man, didn't care, man. The parents are saying, things are not well. They see the parents are not well. They still say, "Can I buy a PlayStation, please?" Okay. Yeah. And
Oh man.
and there's the new Resident Evil is out. I need that CD. And like, come on, don't you see that? Okay, there's a level. I think there's a level to what
Mm,
is given to them, but they understand the basics.
yeah.
Obviously, it's not you don't share stuff that's very haunting to kids. But still, it's good. I'm pretty sure that step by step, as they go to class by class, they understand more. I don't know if that answers your question. Or
Yeah.
you're just saying overall, maybe let's not even scratch the surface with mental health with kids.
No,
Just
no, no. I was just asking a question. I'm trying
mm,
to see both sides here, because
mm,
as much as it's a good thing, we sort of have to also ask the questions. I've always thought, I even thought
yeah.
to myself, why is it that we do it? Is it actually helping anyone? This is why I had this topic. Um, One thing I wanted to say is I think it is both benefiting communities, but also not benefiting communities. As much as there are
Mm,
people that are out there willing to help people and also look at people the same way, or even look at people in a respectable way, there's
yeah.
still people out there that, yeah, they know there's mental illness and whatnot. Yeah, for example, if, say, for example, if you see someone is suffering from whatever it is they're suffering from at that point in time, are you going to go and help them? Or are you going to go, that person's got a problem? You section it off. I'm not the professional here. I can't help that person. They deal with it. You know what I mean? So you're happy to sort of turn away. You know what's going on, but you're like, nah, not my problem. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I have to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I don't know, it was I'm gonna say it anyway, but I don't want to accuse anybody of lying. But there was a point in time where maybe you're saying there's also the bad thing is people see this and people have used it as a weapon, in
Yeah.
certain moments. So we have to talk about it because it has happened. I remember, especially during COVID, there was a lot of people who jumped on a bandwagon of trying to use the fact that there's COVID, trying to get away from certain responsibilities. You know what I mean? And openly, by the way, obviously I'm not going to say names, but openly saying, this point in time, the mental health awareness is so high because of COVID. Organizations, people are so scared, so I'm using this as a weapon to avoid myself from going to work. I'm using this as a weapon to get a certain benefit from something. You know what I mean? So maybe we can also say that as a way. I don't know if you can use that. Is that also more a negative thing where people abuse it, and then that also takes away maybe sometimes seriousness from people who are actually struggling with mental health, and takes away the light from them, because people will be like, there's a lot of people doing ABC. Because myself, when I was hearing a lot of this, I started doubting everybody. That we playing games every time we say this. I don't know if you witnessed that in England.
Yeah, no, I have, and I also have an example. There was a time there was a charity that used to help soldiers, basically, and this charity, right, got found out because the owner of the charity was using the money to help these heroes for whatever problems, some of them mental health, post-traumatic disorder, all these things, but using them for personal gain. So they were sort of asking people for money in the name of charity, but using it for personal, So these are some of the things as well. Like, this is why I'm asking: is it really benefiting communities if they're using people? If they, we've seen the videos, the ones about Africa, because when you come here, they always ask you like, "Rah, is it that bad?" Because you see the videos of the African kid with the fly on the face telling you, "Yo, there's hunger." I'm not saying that there isn't hunger. There's hunger in Africa, 100%. But also sometimes you got to look at the wider sort of situation. So what I'm trying to say, there are people who are also benefiting from this. Like Patrick said, organizations, definitely. There are people who also use it or misuse it, because the problem with mental health is you can't necessarily see it, stress, depression.
I think that's the thing. Like I think that's where I'm like, I might even be okay. Obviously, as I said, the examples that gave me were people openly bragging that I'm doing this, but openly sometimes I'm like, you it's difficult to determine, Like this is why you were saying that back in the days you would say, is this person really struggling this much, to think of, like when you talked about like going to the doctor saying I need to be down because I want to like go towards the end. And you're like, is that how deep something can go? Until you understand. That's something these experts have to be there. But also, you are right. Would this expert know exactly that is somebody actually is not just playing the system to be able to get the result? It's difficult. That's why it's a very difficult, very, very difficult topic, to be honest. Because every time you talk about it, I don't know. It's just one of the difficult topics.
That's right. So I have put a poll in there in the questions, guys. Look, is mental health awareness benefiting communities? You know what I mean? Let us know what you think. Do you know what I mean? I think here's the next question. Based on awareness, so based on the fact that now, people have, I'm not saying everyone's fully aware, but since based that the conversation is there, do you feel comfortable talking about it in your environment? So in your community, do you feel comfortable to sort of have a healthy dialogue? Is there a healthy dialogue about mental health in your environment, like we're doing right now? Do you feel like
now I do. Years ago, I don't think years ago. I don't think years ago you'd be having conversations like that with your boys, because you used to think that they'll think I'm weak. You know what I mean? Or let's say in communities. And that's what I'm saying. When I'm talking about this, guys, I can't really talk about the fact. I'm pretty sure you guys will be like saying, "What is he on about?" But I'm talking about my own community in Africa. I couldn't really come out, even as a husband, as a man, start talking about mental health issues, saying I'm struggling with this, guys. I'm having a hard time. I'm pretty sure all the men would have looked at me and say, "Yeah, weak man, just man up and go look after your family." I'm pretty sure that's what was happening, you know. As Ontali said, when people have mental health issues, guess what? They used to go to the preacher. The preacher is not a professional. I can become a preacher today and start praying for everybody. So they don't really know what to say. So uh, it's just a lot. And we can give an example in Malawi. I was giving an example about Didi and Cassie, where she was with him for so long, and how was her mental state. The same thing as in my country. They used to say Banja and Kupirira. It means that no matter what, you're gonna stay in this marriage. So can you imagine how mental? Yeah, if maybe the woman was going through abuse and her mental state was not well with the man, but you've been told that, oh, once you're married, you're married. You have to stick to it. Don't embarrass your family. Don't embarrass your community. So it's just now where people are able to open up. I think because of all these organizations, which we have to give them credit for, because there's people in these organizations that no matter, even one time I said, there's examples where some people can take advantage, but there's also a percentage in those organizations that actually are truthful and really want to help people. So I think we are more comfortable to talk about it. As you say, right now, you and me are sitting here. I'm pretty sure years ago, we were not going to be sitting here. We'll be like, what are the boys going to say when we go out? Do you get my point?
It's not good for my street cred, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But look, hey, you're comfortable speaking about it.
This is true.
Yeah.
No, this is true. Yeah, so I think what you said, personally, it depends on the environment, right? I think I still feel like it's an easier discussion to have with people that have a little bit more awareness about it, or also choose to speak about it, because there are people that are aware, like I said, but don't want to talk about it, to be honest. And there are people close to me that I've spoken about depression and all these things, and sort of not gotten the right answer, or just gotten an answer that's sort of deflective. So yeah, it's a difficult conversation to have even today. I'll be honest. So I don't feel like it's every environment for me that I can have a healthy dialogue about mental health. Sometimes I feel like I have to speak to people that have either studied it, have experienced it, and things like that. And it can be a very, very lonely place. And this is the problem with mental health, because once you start thinking that you're just on your own and all these things, it really, really starts working up on you. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I would say, the people that feel this way, right? I actually wanted to caveat at the bottom of the screen here. There are things that are available for you. There's something called myman.org, where you can seek all the help, all the advice you need, the psychiatric advice.
Wait, did you say mandem.org or my man?
Mymind.org.
Oh, I was wondering. I was like, England. Does everything have to be like slang mandem?
No, it's mymind.org. It's a global website. It was recommended by one of the viewers, actually.
Okay.
Let me just share my screen. I'll show you what I'm talking about. 2 seconds. So down here in the video where it says counseling and physio and psychotherapy, you got mymind.org, you got samaritans.org. This one is more like a helpline. So this one's UK based. So helpline, where if you're feeling a certain way, there are people ready to speak to you and give you advice. This one, BetterHelp, if you're looking for therapy and a type of therapy, the type of therapist you're looking for, it's like making a match for therapists and stuff like that. So the links are in this description. So if you feel like you can't speak to us, you can't speak to anyone, there are links there. You can choose whatever conversation. There's one that I tried today. You can literally choose if you want somebody who's Christian, if you want somebody who's the same race as you, if you want a male, female, trained, not trained, everything is there basically, and it tells you what's available to you basically, guys. So I'm not an influencer, but I'm saying, look, these things are available. If you think that they're not, they're there. They're people to talk to. Because for me personally, finding these things was the hardest part. I'd even find it and go, nope, there's nothing for me here. So yeah. Guys, Chichewa word of the week. Okay, so
Madonna.
before I do that, Mr. Patrick's got to go. I'm gonna say thank you, Patrick, for joining us, man. Otherwise,
Nah, anytime, man, anytime. These things are good to talk about.
100%. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it would have just been me having this conversation. So everybody, guys, please say thank you to Patrick, and also that GoFundMe link is still there. So click that link tree, you'll find it there, guys. We need to reach the goal. Right now, we're sitting at 3,600. Come on, man. Patrick is currently going through chemotherapy, and he needs your help. You know what I mean? He would have done the
No,
same.
I appreciate for all the people who are showing support, and it's more than enough support, But I appreciate all of you guys, and it's good to come here and chat with you guys, and we'll see if we're still waiting to do the Drake and Kendrick beef. So I'm still coming here with Drake. I'm not gonna let it go. So I will be back. We'll be back, and maybe now after one time he watches the Diddy stuff, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna be talked about for a week. He might find a topic that ties in, because I don't know if we've talked about, I think we've talked about these. Have we ever tackled these abusive relationships and stuff like this? I think
Not entirely, no. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because
I think we've done victim blaming. If you remember that one, we did that one.
I think that one I was at work. That particular one, I think I was at work.
Yeah, so that way we did something like that. So no, honestly, thank you, Patrick, for coming on. Everybody, smash a like for Patrick, please. Big man, fire and cancer, and he's gonna beat it. Because we know who Patrick is like. He's gonna beat it. If you don't know who Patrick is, this guy's so resilient. You can beat him 30 times, and he was.
Don't talk about that.
And he will
but
still come back and say, "Hey."
That was no, but it's a guy. The number is, I know it's 30, but it's coming back up. I was looking at it, I was like, oh, even on Kelvin, no, but Kelvin one is embarrassing. I cannot show that one on this.
Obviously, we're talking about a video game, not violence.
Yeah, not violence. Yeah, people might think this guy, you beat him up, he comes 30 times. I'll see you anyway one time. Big up to you, man. Big up to you. Enjoy your weekend. Man. Yeah.
Take it easy. Yeah, guys. So Chichewa word of the week. Let's see. I'll say Ubongo. So Ubongo, basically. Ubongo means your mental. So I'll say your mental. So I'll use that. Ubongo. Your mind or mental. Basically. So that is the Chichewa word of the week. Next week there might not be a live show. Well, there will probably not be a live show next week. But I will keep you guys posted, because I might do a pre-recorded show like Patrick alluded to. Anna, you're late. You are late, Anna. What is this about? What time do you call this? I'm about to go. I'm about to go. So Chichewa word of the week, Ubongo, your mind, your mental. Gunjan, Anna is a sister, not a brother. Wow. I'm glad you're not the doctor here. You'd miss, you'd misgender people. Guys, thank you very much for coming on. Smash the like, watch this back. Let me know what your thoughts were. Are there challenges with mental health? I think my conclusion is mental health is there. It's there for a reason. It's there to stay, as the figures showed, right? It's hard to say, oh, why is this happening? But also we have to look at it and think, but is it working? You know what I mean? Is the method working? What kind of changes is it making? So we wouldn't have known what was going on if there wasn't awareness. And also we wouldn't know how people behave or the conditions people have, or you wouldn't be able to self-diagnose, because how many times when you get a headache, you know what to do, you need to get a painkiller, but I bet you back then people were like, I don't know what this feeling is, and then before you know it, oh my gosh. So basically what I'm trying to say is I think the awareness is important, and I think mental health awareness campaigns are important. I think they're not even enough. I think they need to just keep happening. I guess it's because it's to do with mental health and also the stigmas around it, because the stigmas really involve people people thinking, oh my gosh, are we talking about depression or stress? Not really. We're just talking about how healthy you can be mentally, basically, you know, because it can help you achieve your goals. It can help you be better. It can even help you physically. Let's be honest, right? You know, pro tip for the guys, you know, your part of your sexual performance is mental. On that note, guys, have a good weekend. Take it easy. Thank you for the love. Thank you for showing up. And yeah, keep it locked. Keep it right here. Stay.